What is up, Tiger fans? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will be ranking the top 6 offensive and defensive players for Clemson football in 2021, so we're not going to waste a lot of time on the intro, and as you can already see, I've already got the full offensive rankings on the screen for you guys. So starting off at number 6, I've got Lynn J Dixon. So Lynn J Dixon is, of course, Clemson running back, and I expect him to have a pretty big impact in 2021. In 2020, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry on 42 rushes and had 2 touchdowns, also had 3 catches for 21 yards. So he doesn't make a big impact on the receiving game, but also you have to keep in mind he was behind Travis Etienne and also behind a pretty bad offensive line. The offensive line was super disappointing in the rush department last year, so I expect them to improve, and I think Dixon is going to be able to make a big impact. Now, this season, he will have to split touches with guys like Kobe Pace and Will Shipley, but he's still going to have his fair share of opportunities, and I think he will succeed. I have him projected as a second-team All-ACC selection. Next up at number 5 is tight end Braden Galloway. So I actually picked Braden Galloway as a first-team All-ACC performer. This is a guy that I think is going to have a big breakout season. Now, he did not play in the 2 games that DJ Uiagalelei started in last year, so we don't really know how he's going to work with DJ. But Galloway has great receiving talent, and he's having to work really hard to keep his job. He's got some talented tight ends behind him, including Davis Allen. So Braden Galloway, I feel like he's going to have a big impact in the receiving game, and he's obviously talented and playing at a high level, because if not, Davis Allen could most definitely take his job. So I'm super excited to see Braden Galloway out there. At number 4, we got a wide receiver, E.J. Williams. Now, I did not pick E.J. Williams on any All-ACC selections, but he had a very impactful freshman year, 24 catches, 306 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he really made a big impact later on in the year. The ACC championship against Notre Dame, the college football playoff semifinal against Ohio State. EJ, in those games, he was playing some good football, and I think he's going to have a good connection with DJ Uiagalelei. And there's some other receivers in the receiver room that he's going to have to contend for catches with, including the guy that you see a little bit later on the list. But EJ, he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and I think that he is Clemson's next great receiver. At number 3, I've got Jordan Mcfadden. Jordan Mcfadden is Clemson's best offensive lineman this year. He's moving over to left tackle, so I'm curious to see how that goes. But Dabo Swinney has a lot of confidence in him, and people believe that he could be one of the best offensive tackles in the country this year. I selected him as a second-team All-ACC performer. I feel like Mcfadden is going to have a good year, and he's going to be the anchor on that offensive line, protecting DJ Uiagalelei and in that rushing attack. So Mcfadden, we'll have to see how he transitions to left tackle. But last year, at right tackle, his first year as a starter, he played very well. At number 2, I've got Justyn Ross. Now, Justyn Ross is a very interesting player because he hasn't played since Clemson lost to LSU in the national championship game back in the beginning of 2020. He missed all of the 2020 season with a spinal sort of injury, but it was a genetical thing. It wasn't an actual injury. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys do your own research on that. I'm not a doctor. But anyways, so Justyn Ross, he's super talented. As a true freshman, 1,000 receiving yards. And as a sophomore, he had a very big impact as well. And of course, both those years were with Trevor Lawrence. But over 2 seasons, 1,865 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns. Justyn Ross has had a great career at Clemson up to this point. But once he gets out there in pads taking hits, that's when we're really going to know, is this the same Justyn Ross that we had back in 2018, 2019? So I'm really curious, but if it is, he could be right up there with Uiagalelei in contention for the best player on this offense. And then the best player on this offense, as I mentioned, I have DJ Uiagalelei. So he's only started 2 games in his Clemson career, but in those 2 games, he was amazing. And overall last season, in 9 appearances, remember, only 2 starts, 914 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He looked super comfortable, had to go into a road environment, a very tough environment to play in at Notre Dame, and he looked very, very good. So now DJ, being the starter, he's going to lead this Clemson offense, and I think this is going to be another high-scoring Clemson offense due to their potent passing attack. I think DJU is set up for a very big 2021 campaign. I selected him as a second-team All-ACC performer, but the ACC has a lot of good quarterbacks. So second team, not bad at all. I think DJ will have a very good season for the Tigers in 2021. Now on to the defensive side of the ball. At number 6, I've got Baylen Spector. So Baylen Spector is one of the 3 starting linebackers that people are getting really excited about this year. Of course, you see one is already on the list, and then the other is Trenton Simpson. The only reason that he's not on this list, I think he's going to be amazing. I picked him as a first-team All-ACC performer, but he's not on this list because he just doesn't have a lot of experience. But Baylen Spector does have a lot of experience. I think Baylen Spector is going to have another very good season there next to James Skalsky. You have the experience. Last season, in 12 games, 64 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, and as a blitzer, 4.5 sacks. So Baylen Spector, he's making plays in the backfield and a very, very impactful player. At number 5, got James Skalsky. Now, James Skalsky, he might not be the quickest, and he might not be the most talented player on the field, but he has a high IQ and he knows how to lead a defense, and that's why he is ranked number 5. He's been Clemson's starting middle linebacker for 2 seasons now, and while last year his production did dip some, he only played 9 games, and now this season, I think Skalsky is going to have a big super senior season, and hopefully for him, lead the Tigers to his 6th ACC championship as a Tiger. That would be amazing, being a super senior due to the COVID year, and as a redshirt player. Skalsky's won 5 ACC titles with the Tigers, and he's going for number 6 this year. He's been a leader on this team for quite a while now. At number 4, I've got Tyler Davis. Tyler Davis could be a first-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, but he's only ranked number 4 on this top 6 defensive players list because of the guys above him. This is such a talented Clemson defense, and Tyler Davis is great. So, in 2 seasons with the Tigers, and he had a big impact from day one. But in 2 seasons with the Tigers, 15.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. And he's dealt with some injuries, only played 7 games last year, but he's still a very impactful player, stuffing the middle, and he's a great run stopper as well. People have been calling him Baby Dex, of course, referring to Dexter Lawrence, who is now in the NFL, plays for the New York Giants. Tyler Davis is just that big, lane-clogging defensive tackle that makes all the plays you need, and he's a very good pass rusher as well. So Tyler Davis, his junior year, should be a very special one, I expect. And he is not even the best player on that defensive front. At number 3, I've got Andrew Booth, the corner. Of course, Andrew Booth, this is a guy that's getting first-round hype in the 2022 NFL Draft, and for good reason. He's super athletic, and he's really, I think, improved so much over his Clemson career. Came in as a very highly rated recruit, but he struggled. In some of his earlier snaps, he struggled, and this is a guy that I really didn't feel confident in a year ago, but I think this is an Andrew Booth player that's very, very improved, and an Andrew Booth that is ready for another huge season for the Tigers in 2021. Last year he had 2 interceptions, but this guy, super athletic, and he knows how to read a quarterback, so Booth, I think, will have another big season and could be a first-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. At number 2, I've got Myles Murphy. So Myles Murphy and number 1 ranked Bryan Brzee, they were each true freshmen last year, and they each made an impact from day one. Last season, Murphy had 37 tackles, 10.5 for loss, and 4 sacks. That's absolutely amazing for a true freshman. And that's a guy that was having to contend for snaps with Xavier Thomas a little bit later in the year, of course. KJ Henry, Justyn Maskell. There are a lot of defensive ends on this team that could be starters, and Murphy is the best of them. He's set for a big sophomore season. This is a guy that has All-American aspirations. This is a guy that I picked along with Davis and Brzee as a first-team All-ACC performer in 2021. And at number 1, Bryan Brzee. He might be the best player on this team. This guy is an absolute force. Once again, he's only played 1 season, but in that 1 season, 23 tackles, 6.5 for loss, and 4 sacks. But that's having to contend for snaps with Tyler Davis and Jordan Williams and Niles Pinckney. There are a lot of good guys in there. But now Brzee, he's going to be a full-time starter. And everything that we've been hearing from practice has been just awesome about Bryan Brzee. It sounds like he has been tearing up the Clemson offensive line, and that's exactly what you would expect from a top-rated recruit. And now heading into his sophomore season, it seems like Brzee could be one of the best defensive linemen in the entire country this upcoming year. But that is all I have for this video, so be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what did you think about my rankings, and what would you put for this top six offense and top 6 defensive players lists. Who would you put on these lists? Offensively, I had a tough time deciding. EJ Williams, he's tough to put on there just because of the smaller sample size, but I feel like the top 6 players are probably the same top 6 that everybody else would have. And then defensively, instead of Spector, you could have gone Trenton Simpson. I just feel like he's too inexperienced. Xavier Thomas, everything has been sounding really good coming out of camp regarding Xavier Thomas, but he has not played a lot recently, and once he gets back on the field, he could be a beast, but I just didn't put him on here. And then also, Nolan Turner could be on here, but I feel like Spector makes a bigger impact. They're both really good leaders and really good players, but I did decide to put Spector on here at number 6. But once again, let me know who you would have on these lists, and once again, like, subscribe, main channel and live streaming channel, each linked in the description as they always are. And I'll see you guys next time. Go Tigers.